Order number 3, messages. Okay. Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers. Order number 6, notices of motion. Order number 7, questions and statements. Order number 3, messages.
Members on their feet, take your seats. Take your seats. Honorable members, I have a message from the Senate. Honorable members, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 41-4, I wish to report to the House that I've received 2 messages from the Senate regarding its decision on 2 bills, namely the Equalization Fund Appropriation Number 2 Bill, Senate Bill Number 30 of 2023, and the Division of Revenue Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill Number 38 of 2024. Honorable members, the first message conveys that on Tuesday, 17 September 2023, Appropriation Number 2 Bill, Senate Bill Number 30 of 2023, and the Division of Revenue Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill Number 38 of 2024. Honorable members, the first message conveys that on Tuesday, 17 September 2024, the Senate considered and rejected the National Assembly's amendments to the Equalization Fund Appropriation Number 2 Bill, Senate Bill Number 30 of 2023. You will recall that this House considered and passed the bill with amendments on 13th June 2024. Thereafter, I refer the bill back to the Senate for reconsideration in accordance with the provisions of Article 112, 1B of the Constitution. Honorable members, the decision of the Senate on the National Assembly's amendments to the Equalization Fund Appropriation Number 2 Bill, Senate Bill Number 30 of 2023, effectively commits the bill to a mediation committee pursuant to the provisions of Article 112, 2B of the Constitution. Consequently, the Speaker of the Senate has appointed the following senators to the mediation committee on the bill: Senator Joe Newtu MP, Senator Mohammed Abbas Sheikh MP, Senator Professor Margaret Kamar EGH MP, Senator Tabitha M. Mutinda MP, Senator Daniel Maanzo MP, Senator Beatrice Ogola MP, and Senator Faki Mohammed Mwinyihaji MP. Honorable members, in order to fully bill, the National Assembly is required to appoint 7 members to sit in the committee. I therefore call upon the majority and minority leadership of the House to nominate members to represent the National Assembly in the mediation committee by 7 p.m. today, Tuesday, the 8th of October, 2024. I will then communicate to the House tomorrow the National Assembly members appointed to this mediation committee to ensure timely commencement of the mediation process. Honorable members, the second message conveys that on Thursday, 3rd October 2024, the Senate considered and passed the Division of Revenue Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill Number 38 of 2023, with amendments. You'll also recall that on 7th August 2024, this House considered and passed the bill with amendments, following which I refer the bill to the Senate for consideration in accordance with the provisions of Article 110(4) of the Constitution. The Senate has now referred the bill back to the National Assembly for reconsideration. Honorable members, with respect to the Division of Revenue Amendment Bill 2024, I direct the clerk to circulate the Senate amendments to the bill to all members. Thereafter, the amendments will stand referred to the Budget and Appropriations Committee. I urge the committee to expedite consideration of the Senate's amendments and report back to the House on Tuesday, 15th October 2024. Conscious of the House, that the House is scheduled to proceed on a short recess next week, I direct that the matter be prioritized for consideration on the same day. As in to remind members that conclusion of the Article 115 of the Constitution by His Excellency the President following rejection of the Finance Bill 2024. This will facilitate disbursement of the requisite funds to account governments and avoid further stalling of operations of the devolved units. The House is accordingly guided. I thank you. Next.
Order number 8, special motion, proposed removal by impeachment of His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, EDH, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya.
So far, so good with the morning sitting. As I directed in the morning, honorable members, we will proceed up to 5. The Deputy President indicated he will be here by 4. At 5, we'll call him and allocate him up to 2 hours maximum. Minority, majority. Thereafter, the mover will be, when he finishes, the minority, majority leaders will come in, and thereafter, the mover will be called to reply. We have 5 minutes each, and the interest is overwhelming. If we remain with the 5 minutes, you know, not each one of you will have time to speak. The alternative to this, and I don't want us to go that direction, is that after the Deputy President has had his opportunity, this motion has no time cap, but we must finish not later than midnight today. So I want to hear your views. We continue with 5 minutes. And after the Deputy President speaks, I'll go to the minority, majority, and reply, and you go to the vote. Is that all right? Excellent. At the time we concluded, it was Honorable Kajwang from my left who had spoken. I'll now open the afternoon with the member for Ugenya.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Article 132 of the Constitution of Kenya provides that the President will every year give a report to this House on the steps taken to implement Article 10. Mr. Speaker, Article 10 is the soul of the nation. Article 10 is what the engineers would call the software of the country. It is what the doctor would call the heartbeat of this country. Oh dear. The Speaker, through Article 10, this country gave to itself how they want to be governed. Mr. Speaker, Article 10 of the Constitution provides for us the map to where we want to go. Mr. Speaker, in the last 1.5 years, we've listened to and been treated to, Mr. Speaker, the Deputy President piercing with a sharp knife through the very heart of the nation, Mr. Speaker. When we went to give ourselves a new constitution, Mr. Speaker, we said tribalism, nepotism, corruption, Mr. Speaker, are our ills. And we said that we will entrench Article 10 and ensure that going forward, we live as a country together, united, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, for the last 2 years, the Honorable Gachagua has not only put a knife onto the back of our values and shared principles, but he's kept turning that knife, Mr. Speaker, the level where if we allow him to continue being the president, Mr. Speaker, we are going to risk the loss of the heart of this country, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the move of this motion, Honorable Mutuse, read what appears in Article 10, Speaker. Mr. Speaker, there is nothing to say about a person who believes that this country should only belong to one region, Mr. Speaker. It has to be clear today that we are not impeaching Mount Kenya. We are not impeaching the Kikuyu. We are impeaching an individual who has refused to follow the law every single day of his life. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Gachagua is the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, not the Deputy President of Mount Kenya, Mr. Speaker. He is the Deputy President of Kenya Kwanza, not Mlima Kwanza, Mr. Speaker. It has to be said today that if you are to build together, if you are to run a country that has shared values, shared principles, and shared prosperity, Mr. Speaker, all of us must believe that our leaders will live within the four corners of the law. Mr. Speaker, it is true, and it's been said by Kenyans, that we are all tribal. Of course, we all come from tribes. We also have our own tribal sentiments, Mr. Speaker. We all have our feelings about what should happen to our tribes, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it's even been said that Kufa Dereva, Kufa Makanga. It's also been said that all of us sitting here today have some tribal things in our closet, Mr. Speaker. That is true. But, Mr. Speaker, and you are a seasoned lawyer, when you go to court and you are charged, and the others you are charged are not in court, they say, Rigiji, Gachagua, and others not in court. The case here today is that of Rigiji, not others not here today. The case we're dealing with today is the case of Makanga, not Dereva, not passengers. So, Mr. Speaker, we have to deal with a person who believes that his job is to represent Mount Kenya. Mr. Speaker, on this side sits members of parliament elected by Mount Kenya people. On this side sits members of parliament from Nyeri, from Kirinyaga, from Muranga, from everywhere. Those counties also have governors. Nobody appointed Rigiji to be the benefactor. No one appointed Rigiji to be the custodian of Mount Kenya. No one. Because our constitution provides for leaders from that place to represent them. So, Speaker, by his actions that are against Article 10 of the Constitution, Mr. Speaker, Rigiji has alienated Mount Kenya from the rest of the country. He is fought so hard to be the Mount Kenya kingpin, Mr. Speaker, and I believe that this House must impeach him so that he can go and be the kingpin of Mount Kenya, not the deputy president of this country. That's what we need to do this afternoon, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, yesterday, I heard him mention the name of our PCS, the name of the Ford Kenya leader. Mr. Speaker, political arguments are done between parties and among parties, Mr. Speaker. And if, for example, MDG Wayaran has shares in the government, the shares are for the whole country, not for a tribe, not for an individual, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, today, I must say that we will impeach him. But all of us here today must also soul search that as you impeach Gachagua, have you lived a better life yourself as a Kenyan? Have you lived a better life as a leader? What have you done in your closet that reflects what Gachagua has done? We'll impeach him, but he must also change our ways as a country, from the president down to all of us who lead this country, Speaker. I support and believe that he must be impeached.
Commissioner Patrick Makau.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this chance. Mr. Speaker, from the onset, allow me to give thumbs up for one Honorable Ecomas Mwengi Mutuse, massive. Mr. Speaker, I give him thumbs up for executing this motion and showing Kenyans that leadership is not about where you come from, who you are, but how you perform your duties. Mr. Speaker, this morning, I've had many speakers talk to this motion. Mr. Speaker, I agree with the speakers who have said that yesterday and the week before, Mr. Speaker, I've been watching the deputy president of this country doing rallies in town, going to churches. And Mr. Speaker, what we saw on Sunday was different from what we saw yesterday. In fact, Mr. Speaker, I want to advise us, even as politicians, sometimes we should listen to our advisors, and we listen to the right advisors. Mr. Speaker, if I were to advise the deputy president, yesterday's interview was his undoing, and it proved to Kenya that yes, all these accusations that are being leveled to him are really true. Mr. Speaker, I want to confirm to this House, one, despite Article 10, the deputy president, who is supposed to hold the values of this nation, by uniting Kenyans, by fighting against corruption, by fighting against tribalism, he is the one who has championed tribalism through and through. Mr. Speaker, I want to tell you, as a member of Parliament, Mavoko, I have spoken the word Kenya many times, more than the deputy president of this country. All what I've been hearing is Murima, 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 Murima. Mr. Speaker, today, I want to tell Kenyans, I know Parliament has been prosecuted, and many words, we've been called names that we are an unperforming house. But today, I stand here as a legislator Mavoko. Mr. Speaker, why am I charging the deputy president to be a tribalist? Mr. Speaker, at one time, I listened to the deputy president on national television saying that he reversed a cabinet decision to reverse the demolitions in Mathare. Why did he do that? He said his people were in Mathare and that he could not sit and see his people's houses demolished. Mr. Speaker, it reminded me when the people of Mavoko houses were being demolished. Personally, I went to him, and Mr. Speaker, I thought he could help me. But the words he used to me are unprintable, and I cannot speak them in this house. Mr. Speaker, today I want to tell you, those people that he was addressing, 30% of the houses that were demolished belong to those people of Murima. They belong to Kenyans. Mr. Speaker, I come from a constituency that is cosmopolitan. Today, as I stand here, Mr. Speaker, we have lost lives. We have had people whose properties had to be auctioned because they had gone for loans for those houses to build. Mr. Speaker, as a legislator, I humbled myself and requested and asked the deputy president to intervene so that those houses, Mr. Speaker, a parcel of 4,000 acres, 325 acres, I requested him to have the 300 acres where the houses were seated, to have those people even pay to Portland. But the names they called me, Mr. Speaker, I cannot call them here. When I hear someone saying there are things which are not personal, Mr. Speaker, I want to tell them, those people elected me to represent them, and their pains are my pains, Mr. Speaker. Today, as I sit here, Mr. Speaker, the same deputy president came to Machakos, and he said the Kamba votes are very little, they cannot bring in a president. He went ahead and said the Kamba votes, Kitui, Machakos, and Makueni combined are less than 1 million. I want to remind the deputy president that the Kamba vote is more than 3 million. I want to remind him that Kamba nation produced Gay who took care of Kenyatta in prison. That same Kamba nation produced Munyao Kisoi, who flew the flag of Kenya during Independence Day. That same flag produced Mwindi Mbingu, the former freedom fighter, who is my grandfather, Mr. Speaker. I want to remind him that same Kamba nation
Give him 1 minute.
1 minute. Mr. Speaker, that same combination that you said their votes were useless, they are the ones who are running every night now, calling for them to come and save you in this budget motion. Mr. Speaker, I want to remind him that every tribe in this country is important and he should live to respect them. I support this motion for every reason and every accusation that he has been accused of. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Sani.
Mr. Speaker, before I want to bring out 3 assertions which are highly distorted, emanating from His Excellency, the Deputy President Gachagua. One, that he is a co-president. In every general election, 6 ballot papers are being issued to voters. And of the 6, 1 is for the presidency, and all Kenyans have voted His Excellency President William Samoei Ruto. I did not, and no Kenyan voted Gachagua for any position other than being escorting the deputy president to State House. Nobody, the president to State House, he was not elected. So the claim that he had acquired 7.2 million voters is unfounded, unfactual, and is just mere hallucinations, Mr. Speaker. So he's not a co-president, he is just merely an assistant to the president. A second thing, Mr. Speaker, he always talks of being trained in paramilitary exercises or acquired paramilitary training. He is supposed to be a symbol of harmony, a symbol of unity, not to intimidate, not to tell the citizenry that indeed he is military trained. That thing itself bespeaks volumes on who his character is, Mr. Speaker. One other thing, yesterday he has made disparaging remarks on the Speaker of the National Assembly and the Speaker of the Senate. The fact that his impeachment is coming in front of this House today and thereafter proceed to the Senate, it wasn't befitting for him to speak disparaging, derogatory remarks on our Speaker and the Speaker of the Senate. On to the impeachment motion, Mr. Speaker. Article 150, I think the threshold has fully been met in impeaching the Deputy President Gachagua. His loyalty to the president is questionable. His visits, whenever the president goes out of the country, the deputy president is never seen to see him off. Whenever the president comes into the country, the second principle is always not available to receive the president. He gives press releases that contradicts the president, talks too much, giving epithets that make our president, demean our president, projecting our president a liar on several occasions. Yesterday, all Kenyans have heard that it is His Excellency the President Ruto who taught me how to respond to civil servants, how to address intelligence officers like Nurdin Haji, like the CID officer Amin. That thing itself depicts lack of respect for the presidency. Mr. Speaker, it is clear in our constitution that he is the second in command, as espoused in Article 147.3, as read with 134. This he has failed. He has also shown massive erosion of the position of the executive, not being the assistant and showing the unity so expected of him, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Deputy President severally pronounced himself on matters discriminating Kenyans, that he has gotten his share of cabinet secretaries in his region. Cabinet secretaries belong to all Kenyans, and I think that doesn't befit. He has addressed public servants in public. And in all aspects, he has violated Article 232, which is the same principles that is expected for the executive. Finally, Mr. Speaker, he also talked ill of public participation. The courts have declared themselves that public participation was well done. And yesterday it was clear that he was contemptuous that the public participation done by the National Assembly did not meet the required threshold. And that, I believe, is also being so contemptuous of this House. With those few remarks, I support the impeachment. Thank you.
Rafael Wanjala.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to contribute to this important motion in this country. Mr. Speaker, this is my second motion since I became member of parliament, the second one to discuss impeachment of our deputy president. Mr. Speaker, I'm very disturbed the way our deputy president has been behaving, because the deputy president is principal assistant of the president. But always when the president goes out of the country, the guy recedes back to Murima, and then he starts asking Mr. President so many questions instead of running the country when the president is away. He's never available in Nairobi, except he's only available in his village, trying to ask Mr. President questions. And that, Mr. Speaker, has really annoyed some of us. Mr. Speaker, when there were floods, this deputy president, Mr. Speaker, was assigned by the president that he's supposed to take care of the disaster that was there at that time. The man never moved from his home yard to other areas. He was never in Nyando, he was never in Budanagi, he was nowhere. And all the food he directed to his backyard. Mr. Speaker, I want to be very brief.
Yes,
Mr. Speaker, this deputy president.
Order, Wanjala, there's a point of order. Yes, Muya.
Honorable Speaker, is the member in order to say the deputy president has never moved out of his backyard, while it is on record and on public domain that he has been in Kisumu, in Busia, in Mombasa, in all parts of the country?
Mr. Speaker, the deputy president will only be seen in those places when he's accompanying the president. But he has never come on his own to see the destruction of floods. Mr. Speaker, these people of EACC did a service to this country. Because for you to be elected, you must go through EACC. Mr. Speaker, this deputy president was a DO. And Mr. Speaker, he was a DO, and as a DO, he was sacked on 30th July 1997 as a DO. And the reason why he was sacked, and I will table this later, that the ESCC did not do its work and it cleared him to be a member of parliament and to be a deputy president, yet he was not supposed to be because of his misconduct. Mr. Speaker, this letter is read as Mr. Geoffrey Rigathi Gachagua, District Officer 1, Laikipia, through Provincial Commissioner. Summarily dismissal. Reference is made to our letter dated 19th May 1989 on your appointment to the position of District Officer. I and your response statements to show cause for gross misconduct, desertion of duty, and reported mismanagement of relief food for Laikipia District. These are things. In this regard, we wish to notify you that your employment contract has been terminated forthwith. Consequently, you are required to report to the Rift Valley Provincial Commissioner for handover and clearance. This was signed by Queen Rua. Mr. Speaker, this was a wrong man to be in this office in the first place. This one, for Kenya to grow, Gachagua must go. For to stop tribalism, Gachagua must go. For Kenya to unite, Gachagua must go. I tabled the letter and I support the motion.
Kagusha,
Honorable Speaker,
Honorable Kagusha.
Honorable Speaker, Honorable Raphael Wanjala has produced a photocopy of a document that we cannot get its authenticity. Honorable Speaker, the document that Honorable Raphael Wanjala is referring to is not.
Order, Honorable Kagusha. Order. Take your seat, Honorable Kagusha. Honorable Kagusha, first, from where you are sitting, you have not seen the document. Secondly, the Speaker is fully conversant with the rules of admissibility. And I'll look at the document and I'll direct you on how to use it. I thought I had given you an opportunity to contribute. You are going at a tangent that is totally unnecessary. If you want to contribute, that is what I had given you. If you are not ready to contribute, I give somebody else.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I want to stand, and I stand guided. Honorable Speaker, I want to stand to oppose the motion to impeach the Deputy President. Honorable Speaker, the reason why the new constitution brought about the issue of having a deputy president position, which is not an appointed position anymore, but a position that the president and the deputy would be conjoined together at the point of election, is so that the two of them can be able to work together. And that is what the country desired. That is what our people of this Republic of Kenya voted for in 2010 in the new constitution. Honorable Speaker, I want to believe that when we have been able to get the two of them, we should be able as a country, as much as practically possible, ensure that whatever misunderstanding and whatever differences that may appear or may exist between the two of them,
Yes, Kagombe.
we get.
Kagusha, hold. Honorable Gigi Kagombe, what's your point of order?
Mr. Speaker, is the honorable member in order to disparage the Constitution and mutilate it in the manner he is doing by disputing the provisions of Article 150 of this Parliament to remove a sitting Deputy President? It is constitutional, it is written, it was passed by us in 2010, and that work is given and granted by the Constitution to this Parliament. Therefore, the fact that the President and the Deputy President were elected together doesn't stop the provisions of Article 150. So therefore, it should withdraw.
Honorable Speaker, you know there's a reason why Honorable Kagombe is called Kagombe and not Kigombe. It's because a small cow jumps before he jumps, you know, the small cow, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Speaker, you know.
Take your seat. Order. Order, honorable members, order. Order. Honorable Kagusha, take your seat. Order, honorable members, order. Honorable Kagusha, you are here the whole morning, and I did direct the House. Order. Order. Order, Nabuin, take your seat. Honorable members, we have done very well since morning. This may be an emotive motion, but as leaders, leave your emotions at that door when you come to this House. And I want to encourage you, honorable members, Honorable Kagusha, treat your colleagues the same way you would want them to treat you. Don't make any disparaging remarks. Don't purport to misinterpret the meaning of the name of a colleague, because that's not your duty. We just withdraw
and apologize to Kagombe and proceed with your contribution.